till the day I die.
Welcome back to a very special edition of the Jonah and Ben podcast, where we will be recapping our predictions from last Saturday's games and Wednesday's games. Today is Friday, May 17th, and I'm ecstatic to be joined by the Ben and the Jonah and Ben podcast here.
Hi there. So, we're starting off our recap of match day 12 in MLS with Toronto FC versus New York City FC. With that game ended up for the Pigeons a 3-2 win, with Santi Rodriguez, Malachi Jones, and Andres Perez scoring for the shitty blue team. And for Toronto is Federico Bernardeschi and Petretta, with also Bernardeschi getting a red card in that game with some after-match scuffles between the two sides.
That game got pretty heated at the end of it, which of course led to a bunch of suspensions for Toronto, which of course led to their Wednesday's defeat. But I'm sure they'll bounce back and get right back on their horse.
Moving on to the Philadelphia-Orlando City game, it ended up in a 3-2 loss for the Union, with Mikel Ua and Daniel Gazdag scoring for the Union, and Duncan McGuire and Luis Muriel bagging his first goal in MLS for the Lions.
Philadelphia had 29 total shots, 6 on target at 3.85 expected goals. They couldn't even scrape a draw after they took the lead, with Uras scoring the first goal.
Not to mention how Gazdag missed his first penalty in league play for the Union in that game. Going on to the next, the New York Red Bulls 4-2 victory over the New England Revolution, which it was a great game to watch. And Lewis Morgan scored in the 6th minute. Carlos Heel off a pass from Thomas Chancellite equalized. And then the Red Bulls just started running away with it with a 43rd minute Emil Forsberg penalty. And then Elias Manuel in the 84th minute. Veroni got one back thanks to VAR. And then Harper finished it off in the 93rd minute.
I don't think the Red Bulls ever really quite ran away with it, as you're saying. But against one of the worst teams in the league, they took care of business at home. Of course, a 4-goal performance where they had a 3.31 XG, which is probably their best of the season. They looked good. Their star players performed, namely Morgan and Forsberg. And then you have 2 super subs in Manuel and Harper, who would continue it later, as we'll feature later.
Moving on to Atlanta versus DC United, with Christian Benteke winning that game with 3 headers against the 5 Stripes. Thiago Almada scored on a penalty in the 16th minute, and then Mati Paletto, or whatever that is, scored in the 48th minute own goal. And
Benteke going full 2016 Ronaldo, putting the team on his back, winning the game 3-2 against the pretty good Atlanta side in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So, pretty impressive for the nation's capital side.
Moving on to Charlotte-Nashville, it ended up a 1-0 win for the home side, with Patrick Agyemang scoring for the Crown.
Nothing of note this game. 0.39 XG versus 0.15 for Nashville. Pretty boring stuff.
Moving on to Hell is Real. It was a 2-1 victory for FC Cincinnati, with Kevin Kelsey bagging his first goal for the Lions, and Lucho Acosta scoring as well. And for the Crew, it was whatever the fuck that is, for the Crew, yeah.
Oh, Kelsey is back in Cincinnati. Who would have guessed? Anyway. I guess Columbus are more focused on other things, on other tournaments. Picture.
Moving on to the Missouri Haters versus the Illinois shit team. It was a 3-1 victory for St. Louis City SC, with Rasmus Alm scoring and João Klaus for City. And for Chicago Fire was Hugo Kuipers in the 46th minute.
Kupers.
Pronounced Kuipers, Jonah.
All right, moving on.
Just give me a
I
second.
don't have anything to sound like him. I mean, I wasn't very impressed by either side.
Moving on to Dallas-Austin, it was a surprise result, with Dallas bagging all 3 points with Petar Musa and Jesus Ferreira's 50th goal in MLS. And for Austin, it was a Sebastian Driussi penalty, getting the game to 2-1.
I really regret switching. I initially picked Dallas to win this game in a 3-0 upset, but I regret it because Austin are the ones who ended up losing. I would have gotten a point if I got it right, but I didn't. Sad days.
Galaxy Real Salt Lake ended up in a 2-2 draw with Gabriel Peck and Miguel Berry scoring for the Galaxy, and for Real Salt Lake it was Chicho Arango Brace.
I'm impressed by either of these teams, really. Of course, you'd expect Salt Lake City to hold their 2-0 lead, but Galaxy, I guess, escaped with a victory. Of course, Ricky Puig with 2 great assists. That's why I got a 9.1 rating.
For LAFC, they beat the Vancouver Whitecaps 3-0 with Christian Oliveira bagging a brace and Mateusz Bogusz scoring.
Bogusz is not bogus.
Finally, for this match day, it was the Portland Timbers versus the Seattle Sounders in this edition of the Cascadia Cup. Portland opened the scoring in the 15th minute with a Felipe Mora goal. It was very impressive. And then Seattle scored in the 19th with a Cristiano Ronaldo goal. And then Raul Diaz scored in the 50th minute to bag the 3 points for the Washington side.
Cristiano Ronaldo and the American version of Ronaldo, but yes. Seattle with an impressive away victory.
Any surprise results in that match day, do you think?
I think Seattle's away victory impressed me. Nice. Benteke going full hat-trick hero again at Atlanta surprised me. And I think Salt Lake blowing it surprised me. I thought they would have held their 2-0 lead. What would you say of this weekend?
If there was any
last weekend's results?
If there was any surprise results, it has to be that San Jose win at Colorado Rapids, because both of those teams are fucking dog shit. They're both terrible. There's no surprise that ended up in fireworks in that game.
So, but you said one that surprised.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that San Jose got the 3 points. Than Colorado Rapids.
Okay. Of course, I'm surprised that Omer scored his first goal for the Rapids.
All right, let's move on to the Wednesday slate of games, starting with the Philadelphia Union's loss to the posers from the Queens. Starting off the scoring was Alfonso Martinez in the 2nd minute, and then Hannes Wolf from a wonder goal free kick in the 46th minute, his first goal in MLS, and then Julian Carranza got one back, but it wasn't enough for the Union, sadly, in that game.
I don't know why you're calling them posers. I don't get it.
It's on Metro Fanatic. They're the Blue Posers.
That's not a really great nickname. I don't think the Smurfs is a good nickname either, but it's much better than that. Of course, Philadelphia were without Andre Blake. They had to have Oliver Semmel, whatever that is, in goal. While New York City with Matthew Frisch, their starting goalie, were just okay enough to get the win, despite Philadelphia having 2.23 XG. They couldn't capitalize.
It's becoming a theme with the Union this season.
This game will probably be more famous for years on from now, but for something that has nothing to do with the game. Moving on.
So, with the Wilfred Nancy derby in Montreal, it ended up a 3-1 win for the Columbus Crew, with Arsene scoring, Diego Rossi, and Hinestrosa for the Crew. And then for Montreal, my pick, Matthew Chouanier, was able to bag a goal on a penalty in this one.
Columbus, after losing against Cincinnati, they bounce back and take care of business against the French Farmers.
There was a 0-0 in the Orlando game.
Yeah, okay. We have to talk about this. There was a reason why it was 0-0 and why Inter Miami had a 0.60.
Yeah, because Federico Redondo wasn't playing.
Moving on.
The New York Red Bulls were able to defeat the DC Scum 4-1 with Elias Manuel opening the scoring in the 47th minute with a wonder goal from an assist on Franuel Amaya. Cameron Harper was able to finish a beautiful run, scoring in the 52nd minute, and then Lewis Morgan finishing off Harper's run in the 57th. Bartlett was able to get one back for Scum in the 65th minute off a corner, and then Corey Burke was able to finish off the scoring in the 93rd minute with another assist for Dante Van Zer, making it 7 on the year for him.
Of course, Red Bulls hold Benteke in check, but a huge part of that is thanks to Carlos Cornell, who had 5 saves from inside the box. He had 3 high claims and 1 punch. So Carlos had to do a lot of work with DC United nearly having 3 XG, and he held his ground. Of course, Manuel with one of the goals of the season. It was shocking everybody in stoppage time of the first half. And after him and Harper scored as subs against New England, they continue scoring, which shocked everybody, as they both scored the first 2 goals of the game. And we'll see if they are the starters this weekend against New York City in the Hudson River Derby.
Moving on, we've got
Forsberg.
Moving on, Cincinnati was able to defeat the Five Stripes 1-0 at home with Kevin Kelsey scoring in the 7th minute for his second goal for the Garys. Added time there, ended up 1-0.
Wow, Kelsey's on fire. Atlanta United not so impressive. I would have expected that away to Cincinnati, but I'm sure they'll get back on their horse.
Austin FC was able to defeat the Houston Dynamo 1-0 with a Sebastian Giussi goal in the 87th minute. I didn't watch that game. I got to be honest, I didn't watch it.
Giussi, of course, their star player, always perennial MVP candidate, coming clutch in the 87th minute. Of course, Brad Stuver has to be commended. He had 6 saves, 5 of them in the box, so that gave Austin the chance to win this Texas showdown.
Moving on, we had St. Louis losing 2-0 to Los Angeles FC with Denny Buenga scoring a brace. Also of note, João Claus had a penalty saved by Hugo Lloris. I think that has to be his first penalty save in MLS, no?
It's his first in quite a long time. And yes, it's his first in the MLS. That's why he got an 8.5 rating and was LAFC's best player according to SofaScore. So I'm impressed by Lloris at his advanced age.
Minnesota was able to escape with a point at home against the Los Angeles Galaxy with an 80th minute equalizer from Kervin Arriaga, with Bongi also scoring in that game, and Dejan Joveljic and Diego Fagundes scoring for the Galaxy.
After Galaxy had a great comeback against Salt Lake last week, they nearly do it again, but they couldn't hold on to their 2-1 lead.
I gotta sneeze.
Moving on, Nashville beat Toronto 2-0 with 2 goals, and one in the 81st minute from Shaq Moore and one in the 90+1 minute from Tyler Bunbury. No Sean Johnson, of course, for Toronto FC. I mean, Toronto, of course, extremely undermanned. No coach. Jason DeVos was their coach. Luckily for them. And also for Portland, a shocking victory with 4 goals after the 74th minute. They were down 2-0. Pellegrino and Lopez Munoz scoring in the 31st and 34th minute for San Jose. And then a penalty for Evander, 74th minute, after a Bruno Wilson red card handball. 80th minute, J-Rod, assisted by Evander. In 90th minute, another penalty for Felipe Mora after a yellow for Yarboa. And then in the 100th minute, 90+10, J-Rod scores his second and gives Portland that insurance goal that gave him the victory. Very impressive.
Something of a note is that Gary Smith of Nashville FC was fired even after the 2-0 win at home against Toronto FC.
Interesting. I guess they didn't want to have the interim coach midweek. I can accept that.
And the final game we're going to cover on Wednesday's slate of games was a 2-0 Real
Is he the first first MLS manager to be fired this season?
Yes, he is. Gary Smith.
That had to be one eventually. Just 1/3 through the season. And he kicks the curb.
But what I was on about is that Real Salt Lake was able to pull a 2-0 victory at home against the Seattle Sounders with Andres Gomez and Diego Luna scoring for Real Salt Lake.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier. Just I wanted to bring up the fact that I didn't expect Gary Smith to be fired so soon. I mean, they are struggling, but I didn't think he didn't have to be sacked that soon. Maybe. I don't know what's going on there.
Moving to Saturday.
In Music City.
Yep. Moving on to
Saturday. In Nashville.
Saturday's games, we got Nashville, Atlanta, a battle of two Southern foes.
We're moving on to Saturday.
Yeah, we're doing our predictions.
At 1:45 on Saturday, Nashville will be hosting Atlanta with their new interim coach, whoever that is. 3-5-4 Nashville against 3-3. I have Nashville 1-1 against Hotlanta.
I got a 0-0 because Nashville just plays such a boring brand of soccer.
Thank you for not saying fucking boring. All right, moving on.
We've got
You carry this part.
Yes, of course. We've got the Garys playing St. Louis City SC at home. Last time these two sides met, it was a 5-1 drabbing. What the fuck, Jonah?
We're keeping that.
At the City
That's
Park in
authentic.
St. Louis, Missouri. I gotta go with a 2-0 victory for the Garys this time, though.
Well, 57% win probability for Cincinnati against St. Louis. I'm going to go against you and have a 2-1 St. Louis away victory.
I gotta disagree with you on that prediction.
Okay, moving on.
Who do you have scoring in that game, though?
Klaus and Kubo.
Okay. For Cincinnati, I have that shitty guy from Clifton and
Klaus and Niabulo Blum.
Okay.
Moving on.
We're skipping the Herons game and then moving on to the New England Revolution Union
I'm
game.
sorry, we cannot skip the team with the biggest stars in the league.
Yes, we can.
You
I
can hate
skipping
them. You can skip them. Then. All right. Well, 82% of users predict Inter Miami victory at home versus the DC Scum. I agree with them. I'm gonna go for a 3. You know what? DC's defense is horrible. I'm gonna go for a 5-1 victory for Inter Miami. 2 from Suarez, 2 from that kid, white kid. What's his name?
Benjamin Krabaski?
No, Campagna. Yeah, those 2, and then a Messi penalty, and with him having a hat trick of assists.
He's fine.
I don't know if he's playing. He might be. Moving on.
We've got the New England Revolution.
As Ben hates both of those teams.
Versus the Philadelphia Union in a playoff rematch from last season. The New England Revolution lost that series 2-0. So the Union haven't been strong this year, but the Revolution have been much worse to start this season. They are the worst team in this league right now. It is an embarrassment for the Bob Kraft owned team.
However, Philadelphia have 0 wins in their last 5, 4 losses in their last 5 games. At least New England have that 1. But, like you said, Philadelphia have double the points of New England, and that just shows how bad New England have been, because it's not like Philly have been great. But at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, anything can happen. That's why I'm going to go for a 2-2.
I don't understand how you can make that pick,
That's what I think. No Andre Blake.
That's gonna hurt the Union over long term.
Yeah.
For the Revolution, they're gonna lose 1-2 to the Union. I'm gonna go with a Chancellor goal for the Revs, and then for the Union, I'm gonna go with a Jack McGlynn brace.
Okay, moving on.
We've got
Toronto, Charlotte, and
Toronto, Montreal, Jonah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Montreal fans.
I forget what this rivalry is called. I think it's the Canadian Classique.
Anyway, of course, yeah, you have 2 in those. This again is a much better game in hockey, but it's still a very interesting and heated rivalry. Toronto, who have lost 2 straight, against Montreal, who have lost 3 straight.
This is gonna be it's gonna be.
It'll be
3.
heated. There'll be fights.
2 Montreal because of how many players are suspended for the Reds in this game.
I thought they only had 1 game suspensions, though.
I don't know.
I thought I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory for Toronto. Montreal are just terrible. And Toronto's suspensions, I believe, are coming to an end, including John Herdman, the former Canada men's national team coach, who did lead them to their first World Cup since 1986.
Moving on to Charlotte, LA
Not
Galaxy.
relevant at all.
I did not make my predictions for the Montreal game, and I'm not going to. Charlotte's playing the Galaxy at home for the first time since March of 2022, I think.
You said Toronto 3-2.
I did.
Yeah.
I said Montreal 3-2.
Yeah. So wait, what do you mean you didn't?
I don't know, but Charlotte
We're
Galaxy.
keeping this in, by the way.
Yeah, we are. Charlotte Galaxy. That matchup happened for the first time. It was their first ever game. Charlotte FC. I'm gonna predict a 1-1 draw in this game with Enzo Capetti and Ricky Puig scoring.
Yeah, these teams with no history against each other. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Charlotte win. I don't know. Galaxy aren't wowing me as of late. Speaking of Citi Field,
the match of the day in Queens, it's Homeless FC versus the New York Red Bulls. I'm going to say New York Red Bulls 4-0 victory, because that's how after a 4-2 victory, 4-1 victory, you know what the next step is? It's a 4-0 victory.
Is that your analysis?
Yes, I'm very biased, but that is my prediction, yes.
Well, 41% of SofaScore users picked New York City FC. I agree with you, and 32% of other people, though. I'm going to pick a Red Bulls victory. I'm not going to go 4-0. That's a little steep. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Red Bulls win, with, of course, Morgan stepping up in a big game, as he always does. And, the second goal scorer is I don't think it'll be either Manuel or Harper for the third straight game. That would be something, though. I'm going to pick Sean Neal's header from a corner
Interesting pick.
in this weirdly baseball stadium field.
So I got to go with Harper, Manuel, Morgan off a penalty. No, wait, no, not off a
You should
penalty.
never take a penalty.
They're going to give up a penalty, New York City, and it's going to be Emil Forsberg that's going to convert it, and that is my prediction.
Red Bulls would 2 against New England, and you were wrong. All right, moving on. After the Hudson River Derby at SUC City Field, sponsored by Coca-Cola.
We've got the Minnesota United Loons versus the Portland Timbers at home for Minnesota. It is at Allianz Field, of course. Last time these two sides met, I don't know. Doesn't say on there.
That's low-key crazy.
You can check when the last time they played. I don't really care.
Who is this game?
Minnesota
Portland. Yes. Okay, for Minnesota, this is not a must-win game, but it's kind of approaching that, especially after 3 straight wins. You're second in the league. Everyone's kind of intimidated by Minnesota, who is second in the West. Excuse me, not in the league. I'm gonna predict for them to keep their winning ways up. I'm gonna go for a 3-1 victory for Minnesota.
Wow.
Just make your pick, bitch.
Fuck you. 1-2 victory for the Minnesota United.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
With Teemu Pukki getting a brace and Felipe Mora scoring.
Fuck you.
Oh, argument time.
Anyway, moving on.
We've got...
Oh, yeah, we can put It Gets Heated in the title.
Houston Dynamo versus FC Dallas Burn. Fuck the Burn. Clint Mathis owns them.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Dallas win.
I'm going to go with a 3-0 Houston Dynamo win with Hector Herrera. Fuck it, hat-trick.
For Dallas, I have Isaiah Parker and Herbert Endley scoring.
Then we're moving on to the Rocky Mountain Cup with Real Salt Lake hosting the Colorado Rapids at home at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Last time these two sides met, it doesn't say.
And for Houston, I have Franco Escobar scoring. Moving on.
I already introduced this Real Salt Lake game.
Oh, it's the Salt Miners versus the Colorado Miners. That's not what I meant. First versus fourth in the West. I'm gonna go for a 3-3 Dynamo Crazy Town.
Wow! Wait, which game are you predicting that for?
Salt Lake, Colorado.
Oh.
What do you think the score will be?
5-0 Real.
No, you do not think it's gonna be 5-0.
It's gonna be a Diego Moonboy hat trick.
5-0.
Yes,
the fourth best
and
team. And
Chicharito gets a brace.
Yeah, bullshit.
And then the final
Moving on
game
I'm gonna carry this.
Seattle. Seattle.
Seahawks. Kraken.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the Seattle
Sounders
against Vancouver.
Whitecaps.
7th versus 10th in the West. 2 mediocre teams so far. 18 points versus 13. And Seattle's the home team on this depressing-ass turf. Who do you have winning?
The Vancouver Whitecaps, perhaps.
Score?
Brian White hat trick.
That's not the score.
Brian White hat trick.
Say the score.
3-0.
Okay, I'm gonna have Seattle 3-1 victory. I know it's a boring pick, but I have a Pedro.
Hockey.
I have a Pedro de la Vega hat trick, and and Daniel Musovsky brace.
We've got hockey in the background.
Brian White goal, off a left-footed tap-in.
There's hockey in the background.
It's in the foreground.
Woohoo!
Moving on.
That was the final game. Oh no, wait, no. Fuck, we're not talking about. We don't have to talk about San Jose Orlando, do we?
We don't. All right, so that's this weekend's games, correct?
Of course it is.
That's the MLS Saturday, which leads us to the Premier League Championship Sunday. Of course, the title is on the line, though I think all Manchester City have to do is beat West Ham at home. Who knows if David Moyes has something up his sleeves? I doubt it. That's why I'm gonna predict every game in 30 seconds or less, starting now. Tottenham 2-0 over Sheffield. Man City 3, West Ham 3. Luton 2, Fulham none. Liverpool 3, Wolves 1. Crystal Palace 2, Aston Villa 2. Chelsea 3, Bournemouth 0. Burnley 4, Forest 3. Brighton 2, Man United 0. Brentford 1, Newcastle 3. And Arsenal 5, Everton 2. Okay. I did that in 24 seconds, by the way. Anything else you want to add in like
have
that?
you heard
that isn't on soccer or anything?
The New York Yankees are hosting the Chicago White Sox on Saturday, and Luis Heel is starting for the New York Yankees.
Of course, the Yankees at 30-15, coming off a sweep of the Minnesota Twins. We will be at that game as we tip off, as face-off is here in Carolina here in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals.
Please follow MLBtakez.
The New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. This is an MLBtakez podcast.
Please follow MLBtakez. They're paying us money to say this.
You know what I want to put in the title of this now? It's Jonah podcast featuring MLBtakez.
Please follow MLBtakez. I am begging you.
In parentheses, it gets heated because this podcast was pretty heated. But we still have another minute 20 to fill.
How do you feel about the current state of the Rangers?
I think they're blowing it.
Yeah, I really hope they do.
I think they'll win the series.
No, they won't. Igor. If you can't see, I'm biased. Fuck NYCFC. Fuck DC United.
For the Rangers, it's VC, Gaudreau, Lindgren, and Fox. I forgot who the other guy was.
Rangers suck.
Keandre Miller, Ventura.
He should kill himself.
Gustafson and Schneider are good players.
Wait, am I allowed to say that on there?
On that, yeah. What are you, Howard Stern? On the air.
Oh, she gets him.
Trying to break my fucking ears, Ben. Jesus, I'm right next to you. Of course, Bundesliga also ends this week. Sad for us germaphobes. Leverkusen, all they have to do is win or draw one more game, and they finish with an invincible title season. Harry Kane is going to finish the season with at least 36 goals. Titties.
Fuck!
Ben, shut the fuck